Faces of Abortion is the only television program of its kind that shares the powerful, real-life stories of women, men, and families who have suffered through the destruction of abortion. You will be hearing powerful stories from women and men and families throughout the nations. Faces of Abortion touches lives and changes hearts in over 115 nations. You will also be given practical steps on how you can end abortion.
So it just overwhelmed me. And I thought the only way to escape the pain was to take my life.
I had a fear that I wouldn't be able to have my own children.
It brings heartache. It brings hurt.
And I knew they were tearing my baby apart.
I remember the cold feeling of the room.
I remember laying there and I just said to myself that I will never forgive myself for what I'm doing.
I believe that my life was spared that night just so that I could be here right now and say abortion hurts women.
Welcome to Faces of Abortion. I'm your host, Cindy Collins, and I'd like to introduce my co-host, Alan Parker, who is president of the Justice Foundation, and Clayton Trotter, who is general counsel of the Justice Foundation. And today we have our special studio guests, Letitia and Melissa.
This program is going to be very special. It's about mothers and grandmothers and what impact abortion had on them and the generations involved in abortion.
That's right. It's a very important show, and now we are going to go ahead and hear Dolores' story in her own words.
Abortion really has impacted my life because for me, it was like I did it more than once. It's like, not that I had an abortion more than once, but I was raised in a very strict religion, and when I left that religion and met my husband, we started having sex outside of marriage, and I was very green, just a little young virgin, but started having sex with him, and when I got pregnant, we had this wonderful wedding plan. So my abortion was a selfish act because I didn't want my family and his family and friends and church friends and everybody to know what I had done. So I had what would be considered then a back alley abortion, because this was in the 60s. Abortion was illegal. So when we made the decision to do this, I remember that it was literally a back alley. We actually walked down an alley where trash and dirt and dogs and cats were. And so it just made me feel really dirty and awful. So then I had the abortion, and I was very, very ill for about 6, 8 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 months actually. I bled and had all kinds of complications and fever. But I was afraid to go to the doctor because it was illegal. So finally the Lord, even though I wasn't connected with him, he healed me. And I got better, and we did get married. We did have this big, wonderful wedding that we had planned, but there was the cloud of the abortion over that marriage, which ended after about 28 years. But that's not really the end of the story. When my daughter was 17, she got pregnant. And I made her have an abortion because sin makes you do things that you don't want to do. So my daughter said, my husband said to me, well, it looks like we're going to be grandparents. And I said, oh no, there will be no babies, no illegitimate babies in this house. And he said, but we don't want to kill another baby. And I said, my daughter's not ready to have a baby. And I'm not ready to take care of her baby. So she will have an abortion. So that was about 19, 20 years after my abortion. So I took my daughter, 17 years old, out of the state to another state. And I saw her suffer all day and all night. And she had a little boy. And then we got back on the train and came back home. And I thought, as I was riding the train, how could I do this to my child and my grandchild? And I lived with that guilt for many, many years. And my daughter, she hated me. She hated me. And we had a terrible relationship for many years until I recommitted my life to Christ. And so when I recommitted my life to Christ, I asked my daughter if she would forgive me for making her kill her child. And I asked God to forgive me for killing my child, my first child. And I know that he did do that because he did it 2,000 years ago when he went to Calvary. I was forgiven. When I accepted him as my Savior, I was forgiven for my sins past, present, and future. So my daughter's relationship with me was tainted, and I paid dearly year after year. Now my daughter has her own children, and I have grandchildren. And you see how merciful the Lord is, because even though I did those things, he gave me 3 beautiful children, 4 beautiful grandchildren. And today, I know that I'm forgiven, and I know that my daughter's forgiven. Well, my daughter didn't really do anything wrong because I forced her to do what she did. But now, I'm like King David. You know, I grieve for my grandchild, and I grieve for my child. But when David lost his baby, he said he can't